This next slide is going to be a little complicated, but I'll walk you through it. Now, the reference for this is over here, and this is a Strategic Management Journal. It's, let's see if I have a date on that. Well, I don't have a date on that reference. But here's what it's talking about. Someone else said this. The first one was just my brainstorming with myself. This is what someone else thought about. Okay, so there's two different types of change. The first order change, which is continuous improvement, and the second order change, which is major step. Okay? And remember the steps we talked about, and then continuous improvement's more like this. We have an industry level, which is far beyond your firm. It's the whole industry's going this way. And we have the firm level, which is internal to your organization. That all makes sense? So now this is a block, continuous improvement, and your firm. It's adaptation is what this person calls it, this group calls it. And so focus, incremental change within the organization, and the mechanism is well, it goes into detail. On the other side, a major step change, well, they use the word metamorphosis. So it kind of sounds like a butterfly. Okay? So this is continuous improvement, adapting to getting better and better, and this is frame-breaking change within the organization, a major step. And with a major step, you have that dip. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think with continuous improvement, you have a little dip too, because that's still a change. And most people draw it as if it goes up. I think it probably goes like that, a little bit of dip involved. Industry level, evolution. The whole industry is going to evolution. We're adapting to that evolution, or we're maybe helping create it. And incremental change within established industries like healthcare or whatever. Revolutionary change would be a paradigm shifting change. You've heard the term paradigm before. What does it mean? Okay, your mental map. Explain that a little bit, because that sounds interesting. Okay. So, mental map from Covey's term, which means...
how you perceive in certain circumstances.
Right. And that's partially true. But if that's not a whole picture. Because on the firm level, it's your mental map. On the industry level, it's how others perceive it. It's how the whole industry perceives it. So a paradigm shift is we went from horse and buggy. Let's pretend like we have a paradigm shift. I'm going to make a major change. I've just invented a car that acts like a helicopter. Okay, the paradigm shift is we don't need roads anymore. We still have to have some roads, but the traffic, everybody's going to go to this new car, right? So paradigm shift is we got to rethink our whole philosophy on how to get from one place to another using this anti-gravity device that doesn't take much energy, uses less friction, takes less energy than the car, but we can't go to our local mechanic because they don't know how to work on it. So that's a paradigm shift, right? We don't need roads. In garages, we need hangars and landing pads. Another paradigm shift. We don't use the same kind of fuel. We need a different kind of gas station. So see, that's a difference. That's a whole mindset of the whole world. Not just our personal mindset, but the whole world. And so that's what we're talking about when it comes to industry level. And I interpreted this one way, and it may be outside of the way the authors interpreted it a little bit, but I'm just saying this is the way I see it. Okay, so I'll give you that little explanation. All right, so that is the first set. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to look at all these curves and compare them. Okay, this is what somebody wrote. You see those curves? Now, I want you to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, okay? And the thumb up is this a picture of that curve, or does this mean something different? Because what we're going to do is we're going to test ourselves and see if what this person is talking about is really change management or something else. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what he's talking about. There's cacheable content, static. You know what cacheable content is? Okay, if you have written text or pictures, you can save it, right? And you can look at it and it's going to be the same every time. Okay? If you go into Google and you take a subject, it's going to be different every time, because there's spiders out there going throughout the internet and rating these things all the time. So if you look at, you do a search on a topic today, it's going to be different to tomorrow. And it's going to be different the next day. And maybe somewhere in that line, you may not be very visible, but there's 3,000 pages, right? So that's going to be different. Those 3,000 pages are going to be different every time you search, because that information is being updated constantly. Okay? So let's see if that's what it says. Information that does not change very often and can be cached. Okay, that's cacheable. Dynamic information that changes regularly or for each user request and serves no purpose if it were to be cached. Because we're trying to search. Okay, so if web pages that return the results of a search are non-cacheable because their content are unique almost all the time. So that's exactly what I said, right? So this guy's saying that static content was like that, dynamic content came in, and then streaming content came over here. And there are ways to describe cacheable and non-cacheable content. That's close, but they weren't even talking. This is the S curve. So what's an S curve? That's the technology curve, right? So it changes quickly. The sharper the S curve, the sharper something changes. The flatter the S curve, the longer it takes. That's a time element, 100 years maybe, or 20 years, whatever you look at, and this could be monthly. Okay? So now, he's saying that that's an S curve. Okay? He's also saying that that's static content, dynamic content, and streaming content. It goes through that curve. Are we talking about the S curve, or are we talking about this? Because it looks a lot like that. Remember? The valley of despair. The J curve that we'll see pretty soon. Which one do you think it is? How many people say it's an S curve? Okay. Okay. We're trying to see if we understand a complicated subject put into a change curve, if that makes sense, a organizational change curve. Okay, so now if we saw this, it looks like that, right? It looks like it, but it's not. It's nothing like it. So every time you see that, it's not necessarily a change curve. This is talking about changes in technology, and levels had nothing to do with valley of despair, with the return on investment, and those type of things. It's something else, but it can trick you. And so we're just playing a game right now. And so can you see that? So organizational change is not the same thing as that. These are cats and dogs, and that's apples and oranges.